Hello and welcome to Laugh and Learn. Today, this is an introduction and part one to Tarot Duality Pairs. I am joined by Timy from Raven Tarot Meditation. I'm going to add him to the screen right now so that you can say hi, Timy. I am also joined by Linda de Gonzalez. Everybody say hi to Linda.
Hello.
And I'm thrilled to have with us Madame Maru's House of Cards. Maru is here.
Hello.
And today, we're going to continue the conversation that we've had as it relates to duality in tarot, the tree of life. Timy's been working on this for a while, and what's happened... Oh, here, I'm going to do that. Timy's been doing this for a while, and he's also... he's shared with the three of us his approach in his book that he's working on. And so today, we are going to spend some time and explore. And maybe I would even say... and you can tell me I'm wrong, Timy. And maybe he could learn something and take away, and it could show up in the book eventually.
It has been that way in the last couple episodes, so I've learned something new every time we have these intellectual discussions.
I love it. And thank you for letting me host. I'm very pleased to be able to host.
You're the boss. You're the catalyst.
There you go.
I'm the beaker. Linda is the solution because she's always right. And Maru is the stirrer, and you're the catalyst. Gerald, you're making it turn a different color.
I'm the cord spindle.
There you go. There you go. Wow. And all of the people who are watching this right now, thank you for joining us. You are an important part of this process. What happens is when you watch the show back, you can leave a comment. That will also help continue the conversation. I also want to encourage you to make sure that you are subscribed to all of our channels. Links are below, as are the links to the Laugh and Learn playlist and the previous conversations that we've had about duality. Linda and I do private readings. Maru, are you available for private readings?
Certainly.
Timy, are you available for private readings?
Not yet. I have a quick comment. My business partner, Sally Rudy, just logged into the chat. So everybody say hi to my business partner, Sally. She's
how do you do, Sally?
Quite a
Hello,
wonderful
Sally.
person.
Sally, it's great to have you here. You're awesome. I've only heard good things about you. I mean, and they're from Timy.
Yeah.
That's what's shocking. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, me and Sally, we've been through the trenches together. Business is a brutal place.
Business
not for the faint of heart.
Well, and let me tell you, YouTube can be a pretty busy place. But with that in mind, I want to say hello to a lot of the great people who are here. Pamela Batchelor has joined us. Mods, please watch this one. Linda de Gonzalez. She's is she the stirrer? No, she's the solution.
No, Maruda was the stirrer.
I'm
the solution.
Okay. I'm going to have to make a note of this.
I'm neutral.
She's neutral pH. She's yellow.
Is she our token solution?
No. Linda's never the token.
Oh, look who's here. Hello. It's good to see you. River has joined us. And Nancy Acrone's Intuition. Yes, all the best chatters. Lori is here. One Bright Feather. I am Lulu. Sonia. Thank you for adding Timy's channel and Maru's channel. Look at that. And Kim Princess is here. And Sally has continued to stay. not just to show up and to take a refreshment. So there you go. But so I'm going to pause for a second and take a sip.
Cheers to the episode.
All right.
Cheers to the episode. And yeah, Amanda, I don't get a chance to see you very often. Plucky Heroine has joined us, is lurking and listening, which is highly encouraged. You can also listen to, if you're listening to this on my channel, I do have the Laugh and Learns as a podcast. Please like and subscribe to all of our channels because it's free. Linda is a cool person and has a membership. So you can join and be one of the coolest members who has the best emojis ever.
And solutions.
The total best
solutions.
emojis ever.
Yes.
No, we don't have any solutions for anything, really.
And as always, this is
the solution.
There you go. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really. Timy, this is your exploration of the Tarot de Marseille.
It is.
And you've been doing this for, is it a year now?
Over a year now. Yeah.
Over a year. And so Timy is allowing us to get a sneak peek to see what he's got coming with this. And you do a reading, and you did a reading with me for Readings for Readers, where you talked about the duality readings that you do. Mm-hmm. And would you be willing to give us an introduction to the concept of duality pairs?
Absolutely. So, in my opinion, I was looking for examples of duality in the world. You know, as a recovering alcoholic, that was the path that I chose of spiritual awakening, which is what the 12 steps sends you through. And I'd always avoided that kind of a thing because I always thought it was religion and Christianity, you know, and because it mentions prayers and God and things like that. But, you know, I hit such a low point. I had no choice. I went through the 12 steps. It was a leap of faith. And since then, I want more. You know, I want to learn how the real world works. And I started watching YouTube videos on psychology and Carl Jung. And I saw a YouTube where Carl Jung, who was a bit of a esoteric appreciator himself. He studied the tarot, the Marseille Tarot, mm-hmm. and he found all sorts of dualities that were parallel with his work as a psychologist. You know, as an academic psychologist, he was seeing patterns that matched with the work that he was doing. So I watched this documentary, and it was about tarot dualities, and it was intriguing because what I've learned over the years as a recovering substance abuser is there's no good and evil. There's only people who are unbalanced. And I'd hear story after story about people who gained balance in their life. And they weren't specifically saying it was because they found balance between a duality pair, but I began to see that, just that concept. So when I saw the Jung thing about the tarot, I remembered that I had a tarot deck. So I looked at the deck, and, you know, my career as a computer guy is as a troubleshooter. And I always look for patterns and things. And I'm pretty good at the pattern recognition part of my brain, I guess. And I looked through the major arcana, and I saw duality pairs that were in order. You know, 1 and 2 was the first duality pair. 3 and 4 was the second duality pair. 4 and 5, etc. And they were bookended by the Fool and the World card. So there's 20 cards in between there, 10 pairs. And when I first saw it, I was like, well, this makes a lot of sense. This is really cool. Somebody put a lot of time and thought into this. But I couldn't find anyone else that was interpreting it that way. And that was a little bit of a red flag for me because, you know, the tarot's been around for centuries, millennia, perhaps. And, you know, there's a lot of work that's been done on it, but it matched with all of the things that I'd learned in real life. So I started looking into the meanings of the cards more, and I began to see how these 10 dualities are a roadmap to our human personality. And I believe that the major arcana are the archetypes of human behavior, and the court cards are the archetypes of human manifestation. And then the number cards, the pips, are the archetypes of human circumstance. And I started doing card reads by figuring out what my issue was, what my question was. You know, I do self reads mostly. I've only done a few card reads for other people. I did one for Sally once, and I did one for Gerald.
You did one for me, and it was very, very helpful with the approach. And I'm looking forward to when you're going to do one for Linda. Not that I'm, you know, I'm suggesting that you do that, but
we're going to drag some solutions out of her. Oh no. Anyway, the way I started using it is I use the dualities as sort of categories of things that might be a challenge in my life. You know, you know, if I had a problem with assertiveness, I would do a duality read on assertiveness. So I'd put the, you know, the world card to the left is where I put it, and then the fool card to the right at the top of the table, and then the two cards in the middle are the duality. So if it was assertiveness, it would be the justice card and the chariot.
yes.
And what that does is it spurs your thought to think, well, what is really my challenge here? Like, what is it really that's bothering me, or what is it that's not working out?
Yes.
And the fact that it's so elegantly defined with these 10 dualities that define the human person, the human behavior, it just goes perfectly into a card read where you then randomly draw one of the court cards, and that's your archetype of manifestation. And that is the type of energy you need to use to rebalance yourself from the original thing.
Yes.
And then I've been doing 5 cards of the numbers. The cards to the left are the past, and then a card in the middle is the present, and then a cards to the right are the future. And when you do an interpretation that way, I think it really opens up lots of possibilities that you wouldn't consider because of various bedevilments that you have in your head, and you know, just you know, automatic thinking, you know, breaking out of your comfort zone. So that's how it's been working for me.
I love that. And I think what's really interesting, this duality pair, the idea of the duality, it is about balance. Oftentimes I find when I want a reading or I'm doing a reading for someone, it is about helping them feel balanced so they're able to make the appropriate next choice for them. Maru, Linda, do you have any thoughts about this idea of duality pairs?
I
Well,
want to, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, Maru. We're going to start with you.
Okay. I just thought it was kind of funny when I first got the information from you and started reading it. He originally talked about the duality between the Fool and the World. And so I kind of thought that he was approaching it from either end of the deck.
Oh, interesting.
So I looked at it from, like, after I noticed that he was actually just going in order, I decided to try looking at it from either end of the deck. And I think it works that way too.
There's so many nested dualities. It's all nested. It's all an inward cascade that's eternal, I think.
Linda, what do you think about the idea of duality in tarot?
Yeah, Linda. It's like the Brady Buncher.
Marsha. Too much. Sorry, I can't organize my thoughts right now. It's just too much. You broke me. Yes, Gerald, you broke me.
I think what's interesting is this for me is one of those concepts that makes me go, huh, I don't discount it. I say, huh, because
Yeah.
suddenly I've not thought about it. And like Maru she initially thought you were approaching it from the opposite ends. And I hope that this is what people enjoy, to think about things differently as we're doing this. I think this is a really wonderful, wonderful opportunity. More people have come in. Thank you for joining us. Chris from Elemental Cartomancy is here, who Chris, I think this is right up your alley. I'm projecting on you, Chris. I'm projecting all over in your general direction. But Chris is an extremely intelligent person. I'm heaping praise in his general direction, a thought-provoking person who has done stuff with Marseille. So that's cool. And this just in from Pamela. Because this world is a world of duality, I don't think this is who we really are. If we are indeed quantum, we are both at the same time in our true state.
Well, yeah, but there's balance. Is that what balance is?
I think that's a really thought-provoking question.
I think there's different levels to balance, and I think that it's a universal concept. Duality itself, I think, is so primal to existence that I think everything kind of falls
yin
into
yang is all about it.
Mm-hmm.
True.
If you look at the tree of life that we talked about 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
I put the yin yang symbol right in the middle because that's where it belongs. It's another cultural interpretation of the same concept.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and also think about it. Nature abhors a vacuum. If something is missing, something goes in to fill it. So there is always this balance, I think. So it's because we are in this state of observation, we are stuck in duality.
I think balance is forced upon us if we don't choose it. So why not choose balance in the first place? And that's the path of happiness and prosperity that's in a sustainable way.
I think what's also very interesting, balance can mean many different things. Sometimes the balance is simply a gentle nudge, and other times it's a tower moment. So there's paying attention to that. Okay, so
I have something to add, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I'm reminded of a Chinese folktale, which is about sitting in non-judgment, where this man has a son and various things happen. Like, for instance, the son breaks his leg, which people think is bad. And the guy's like, well, maybe. And then the army comes through and takes all the able-bodied young men away, and his son can't go because he's, got a broken leg. And everyone's like, oh, you're so lucky. Your son didn't have to go to war. He's like, well, maybe. And just like the events continue, and you don't know if it's going to turn out for good or ill. You just have to accept things as they go.
It's an event. It's not a value. Events have no value. I mean, emotional. No, not emotional.
Intrinsic.
Yeah, intrinsic value. They just are. They're neither good nor bad. It's your attitude that matters.
Right. And that's part of the duality of humility. That's number 9. Knowing who you are and what you are, taking things as they go, as they come, doing the next right thing, and being honest is your best path to success. Trying to manipulate or lay expectations on other people and things that you expect in your own life, that's a path to failure. You're going to be disappointed.
See, I'm really interested by your definition of humility because as a Catholic girl growing up, that sure as heck wasn't what I was taught was humility. Humility was keeping my mouth shut. Never saying no. no boundaries. You have to obey every single adult, even teenagers,
All these convenient rules that
Yeah,
are an
Yes.
advantage to the person making the rules. Interesting.
exactly. Always.
So
That's usually how it goes.
well, okay, and so right now I have 3 shows scheduled. I'm open to more shows. I am not going to force the conversation to get through everything that we have, because this is an engaging conversation. So I want my guests to understand, if we get through the first pair, great.
Yeah.
So
I actually have the cards on the table if you want to.
well, yes.
Projects.
Doing the next right thing, I know from Frozen 2.
I haven't seen that movie yet.
I called you intelligent earlier. It's because you can apply and do different things.
Exactly. You can learn lessons from all kinds of places.
Yes. And here you go. One bright feather. Oh, goodness. You all are always give me great food for thought. Mind broadening stuff. I like that. I like the idea of mind broadening. So Kiba has joined us as well as Laura Snapped. So one thing, can we show the first pair, which is the Fool in the World? Do you have the Fool in the World down, Timy?
I do.
Because because I like what you talked about is there is with the Fool in the World the origin and completion, and this is the Ouroboros of the major arcana, the unformed potential of the Fool and the divine synthesis of the world. Their duality reminds us that every ending is a new beginning. I'm going to broaden him. There we go. And I'm going to remove that. So there you go.
I got a little bit of a glare here. Let's see.
Oh, look, he's got the Robin Wood tarot up there.
Oh,
snap.
One of the interesting things about this interpretation is that I use different decks for the majors, the quartz, and the pips.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deck with the purple back?
I have no idea. It's a Grimaud based.
Can we see an image? Because we've got a whole bunch of people in the chat who might know what that is.
Well, it's a Grimaud Images, and it was published by, I think, Barnes and Noble. It was kind of a generic deck, and it has English labels. The Magician, High Priestess. I was going to buy another version of this and give it to my business partner Sally for Christmas, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, I think it was just this one-off thing, that generic thing that Barnes and Noble did, but it put me in the right direction.
It looks like a nice deck.
Yeah, it is nice. I like it. I like these pips better. This is the ancient Italian deck.
Yeah,
so pips on this one better.
When it comes to the dualities, we have the Fool and the World, and you place them with the World on the left and the Fool on the right.
My instinct tells me that things go this way. I like writing this way. This is the beginning. This is the origin, and this is the destination, the world. Mm-hmm. And this is the portal, the spirit of spiritual awakening. On the other side is spiritual enlightenment. And the portal that we went through before this one was the world of manifestation, which is where we're at now. Mm-hmm. Before that, we were fully instinctual animals, and I believe we were just mechanisms of the animal kingdom. But then we were given a gift of spiritual intellect, and that allows us to have free will and be free of the bondage of animal instincts. And it also leads us to self-awareness, which is another thing that I think separates us from the animal kingdom. So this,
go ahead.
So this was something that I had to figure out when I was looking at the cards, like what these things mean. And I think this is the origin of any new journey, the Fool. the characteristics of the Fool in this interpretation are you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to proceed. You don't know which direction you're going. Even notice, I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I think it's funny that the Fool is going this way when he's supposed to be going this way. And the dog's going, wait, no, wrong direction.
Yes.
Which is very typical of being foolish. You bite off more than you can chew, maybe, but still go forward with it, because this is the path of spiritual awakening. Doing things that you don't know how to do, taking on a journey that you don't know what the final outcome is going to be, but you suspect it might be better than the situation that you're in. And then the world is the representation of the goal. The reason why you're going through all these worldly experiences is to finally reach spiritual awakening. And I think it takes many lifetimes to get to this point. I think we have a root intelligence that's eternal. And, I don't think we die. Only our biological bodies die, and then we're reincarnated into another body, and we get another shot. And, as our society and as our culture improves and gets better, and we start educating our children in a more robust way, I think these concepts will become more and more common, and people will get a head start. I wish I'd known these things when I was 18, but it's taken me 61 years to figure out even the beginnings of what the real world might have and hold, have to hold for us.
I want to bring up, Pamela brought up, there's that word continuum, the what lies in between the pairs. I love that, because in between, I'm going to put us all back up here, because it's the in between where life happens, and we learn, we experience, and we thrive, or as you talked about, where we can unlock prosperity and success, whatever that means to you. So,
right. Yeah.
What were you going to say, Linda, about that continuum, which is, by the way, a very fun word to say. Continuum. Were you going to say anything, Linda?
Not about that, no.
Okay.
No, I just think that that's a brilliant observation.
Well, yes.
I'm going back and forth between all my cameras here.
It's okay.
I just wanted to mention, long ago in my early 20s, I used to go out to the clubs, and I would look through the newspaper to see what bands were playing. And I saw a notice that had like some different band names put together in a list. And it said unknown destination, blind and head first. And that struck me as a very appropriate way to describe being born.
Yeah.
That's the Fool.
I like that.
That is interesting synchronicity there for that band list.
And
see, now you're paying attention. That's an example of recognizing truth when you see it.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm very excited. I love those moments of, oh, Pamela also said, it's also where we really live. Most of us don't live in extremes.
Yeah.
No.
There's a
we
lot
try
of
not to anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's also examples of people that are very A-type successful, but all of their energy is on outward flowing energy, meaning assertiveness, decision making,
It's all projecting themselves on the world. Yeah.
It's
that
all
was
like
actually something that I thought about when I read the description of your book. Like, the option of prosperity is actually an imbalance. You're taking in more than you're giving out.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's all sorts of examples of imbalance that are counterintuitive. You can have too much of a good thing, or too much of a bad thing. And that was a counterintuitive thing that I learned as a recovering alcoholic. A lot of times the answer is to do nothing. Keep your mouth shut, Don't Don't stop stepping in it. And that's counterintuitive to somebody like me that was all outward flowing energy. I was all like, bam, 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 make money, that kind of a person. And it was not a happy path. It wasn't a prosperous path either, because it was fully imbalanced. And that's what the two first duality pairs are. It's sort of your master volume for your outward flowing energy, and the other one is the master volume for your inward flowing energy.
So shall we talk about the magician and the high priestess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to see the cards, or you just want to talk about it?
I want to see the cards. Timmy, I always want to see the cards. Hello, have we met? Tarot Stash. So, I got sort of a snort from Linda, but here you go.
Yeah. All right, let me go back. I'm still getting used to all this flip-flopping around. All right, so the Magician, card 1 in the Marseille Tarot, and the High Priestess, card 2 in the Marseille Tarot. To me, these cards represent inward flowing energy. And one of the dualities is masculine, which is biological masculine, which is the Magician. And then there's another duality, which is biological feminine, which is the High Priestess. But they both represent inward flowing energy. The energy that you use when you're establishing relationships with other people, that's duality 3. It's inward flowing energy that deals with your motivation for things, like why you're doing stuff. And it also deals with the 9th duality of humility, knowing who you are and what you are. And those 3 dualities are fueled by your inward focused energy, your inward flowing energy. And typically, I think that's the first label that you put on it, inward flowing energy. But as human beings, as Homo sapiens, that also seems to translate into feminine energy. People typically say inward flowing energy, where someone is mostly interested in relationships, motivations for things, and humility, knowing who they are and what they are. That's usually considered feminine. But the point of the duality balance is that biological males and biological females have the same ability to use inward flowing energy, which from a Homo sapiens point of view is feminine, and outward flowing energy from a Homo sapiens standpoint is masculine energy. But for this case, the Magician is the masculine, the High Priestess is the feminine, and they both represent inward flowing energies, just depending on, what your genetics are. But as we all know, masculinity and femininity are a grayscale experience. And I would say that the people who are truly balanced are not overtly one or the other. They're sort of androgynous, sort of like a David Bowie, where you're nimble and you can engage in your feminine side or your masculine side, depending on what the challenge is, or what the circumstance is. So these 2 cards represent the master volume of your inward flowing energy, whether you're male or female. If you're male, it's the energy of the Magician. And notice how the Magician has all his masculine toys on the table, all of his gear and his gadgets and his science experiments. And then the High Priestess is an intellectual, holding a tome of knowledge, So they're different ways of getting to the same place. And all of these pairs acknowledge the fact that we are still at best half animal. Our animal instincts are a constant challenge for us, because it's so easy to revert to our animal instincts. Lying, cheating, stealing. Might is right. If I'm stronger than you and you have something I want, I just take it from you, and you have the choice to either run away or fight. That's the law of the jungle.
Yes.
And that's what our past experience was saturated in. And as we grow more spiritually awakened, we embrace spiritual concepts of justice, freedom, free will, self-awareness. We embrace these spiritual concepts, and we reject these animal tendencies. I think that's the meaning of life, and balancing your spiritual energy with your biological energy is part of the game, you know?
I'm going to put us all back on the screen because I am looking forward to hearing from the others. What thoughts are you having about what Timy has said about the first duality, the magician and the high priestess, or whatever he's talking about with the inward focus?
Yeah, if anybody has questions, let's discuss it, because you know, these discussions with the tarot community help me flesh out the whole entire interpretation, because there's no way that I can know as much as the community knows. So this is a opportunity to, you know, discuss it.
Something that came to mind for me was actually not so much about the duality, but about the animal nature and how we have transcended it. I believe it has to do with our ability to communicate. And this is reflected by the Hierophant card. It rules the throat and ears, and our intricate method of communication has enabled us to build a spiritual society. We can communicate abstract concepts that animals can't, unless you're like doing, you know, the visual mind meld.
Chris has said, I'm interested in your views on the magician being inward flowing energy. Could you expand on that?
Sure. So do you want to I could put the chart back up, the tree of life, or I could just describe it.
Well, I want to say something that I find really interesting that struck me, that rang bells for me. You were talking about relationships. And that's a really interesting thing, because relationships, if experience has told me things, and in talking with Linda recently, understanding the, you know, one of the upcoming dualities is it's the high priestess is really good at relationships. They understand it. There's a deep knowledge and appreciation of. And I think, you know, I'm thinking about the magician as compared to the high priestess. For me, the high priest, the magician is outward. It's all out. This is how the magicians experience the world fully and completely, and just go blah, 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 and they're laying all their toys on the table and showing their toys and their tools where they shouldn't, and all of that stuff. Where it's the high priestess who goes inward to understand what's going on. And you're right, she has that tome. The high priestess has that tome of knowledge, you said. Yep. The high priestess is the one who takes that knowledge and turns it into wisdom. Because that wisdom for me is the correct application of knowledge.
I would say that it culminates in humility, or self-awareness is the high priestess's path.
The magician is receiving, though, too. He has his hand raised to heaven to receive the spiritual knowledge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which he immediately channels into his tools. Mm-hmm. He doesn't keep it within him. He doesn't, it's not something that he uses to alchemize any sort of, where did that word come from? Any sort of reaction within him, any sort of process within him. He's purely channeling it from spirit to his tools. You don't see that process with the high priestess.
True.
I would say
I don't know what that means. It's just an observation. Okay, I have no idea what the hell that means.
I think the high priestess receives her wisdom and keeps it.
No, you see, so does a magician. The magician is keeping his wisdom, but he's keeping it in his tools. He's not keeping it in a book.
Mm-hmm. But the High Priestess's energy flows out in the water.
Connected to water.
Well, yeah. And the magician's connected to air.
Mm-hmm.
So we got that whole Pisces Aquarius thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
which I love the idea of the Aquarius is the water bearer.
yeah.
There's a beauty in the Aquarius because while they are air, they understand water.
They contain it.
They contain it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, okay.
My thoughts on that would be, the magician has an outward flow of energy. That's true. And I think the High Priestess has an outward flow of energy as well. But that energy is directed inward toward, I don't know. I've heard people say shadow work. It's the inward thoughts. The
process, the inner process.
And the magician is like the creative tool user. He's and because he's biological masculine, men like to build things with tools, but women have just as much capability to build things with tools as men. But the whole point of the duality interpretation is showing you the extremes, and helping you categorize, like how the real world works. And I think that this first pair
could be emotional wisdom.
All of those things are valid for inward flowing, creative, and thoughts and experiences that lead towards self-awareness. That's the left-hand path is inner self-awareness, is the culmination of your relationships, your motivations, and your humility in this case.
And I think this is a very healthy conversation, because what I'm hearing and what I'm reading in the chat there's some different variations of this, and they can all exist at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is really beautiful. Pamela asked, so Timy, are the magician's tools masculine to you? Masculine too? You said all of his masculine tools.
Well, I was relating that as sort of a description of the typical guy. He's got the garage with all his tools. It's very typical masculine. But it's just as common for women to fix cars in a garage with tools. You
want to hear about tools? You want to hear about all the kitchen tools I have?
Yeah. See, it's the same thing. So, it was one of the parts of the tree integrating into the duality pairs of the Marseille Tarot that was confusing to me, because the biological part and the spiritual part, there's spiritual masculine and then there's biological masculine. Do we all agree on that? Or no? Maybe not, huh?
I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure how.
Well, the thing, I guess I should finish my point. So the left path to self-awareness, I didn't want to say that that's the feminine path, and then the outward path of free will is the masculine path. I didn't want to say that because that doesn't seem valid to me in a universal way. What is valid, I think, for any intelligent creature, and I think we are co-evolving with other intelligent creatures that have spiritual awareness, like whales. Like Sally and I have been talking to an artist who photographs whales close up, and he says they are absolutely as intelligent as us, maybe more. We're co-evolving with other creatures that have different experiences and environments, but they have the same connection to this universal spiritual energy of spiritual intelligence. So, and
it's this Sally. So there you go.
That's Sally. Yeah.
But you're right. I like that, is the evolving. Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
It seems like masculine and feminine are hot button terms lately. I was wondering if maybe it would be best to refer to it as receptive and expressive.
Or how about inward flowing energy and outward flowing energy?
Well, yes, but receptive and expressive is a much easier way to say those things.
Could say that too, yeah. But I think that the primal foundation of it isn't sexuality, biological sexuality. The primal foundation is inward flowing spiritual energy and outward flowing spiritual energy. And because of our circumstances, Homo sapiens, people tend to say, you know, outward is more masculine and inward is more feminine, or receptive or expressive. But I think that the whole biological sexuality confuses things, you know?
It does. It does.
And these cards, the way I've laid them out with the tree, makes it a lot clearer in my mind what the real deal is, you know? The goal is to not be extremely masculine or be extremely feminine. It's to be balanced in between the two, in my opinion, which is counterintuitive to me, but it works. It's been working in my life. And I see it in the cards. And I did not invent this interpretation because it's too neat, elegant, and intentional, it seems to me. You know, I just uncovered it, perhaps. I don't even know how to describe what it is, but I think it's been occulted. I think this is a textbook. You know, people used cards back in the beginning of the printing press days to make textbooks. They would use cards instead of bound books because that's very expensive. And these polymaths in the Renaissance put this together from, you know, Greek and Egyptian and other ancient human philosophy. And it's just a very elegant way to organize your life and make decisions in your life because it's so well defined.
Mm-hmm. Linda, you look like you were going to share something.
I am really interested in those card images you have, and it struck me that the way you have them arranged, the magician and the high priestess aren't looking at each other because of your unique way of going from right to left instead of left to right. If you switched their positions so that they were looking at each other, what difference in the dynamic? Does the dynamic differ? Does it change anything about your perception?
I never thought of it that way. I guess it's possible. If I'm looking at them now, they actually are both looking to the left as you're looking at them. So they don't really look at each other when you switch the position.
But they're physically.
Then I didn't read the card. Then I didn't look at the cards properly because I thought that if they were reversed, that they would be looking at each other.
Well, he's facing her, but he's looking away.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you could look at it that way too. Yeah, sure.
Oh, interesting.
I think this is a very interesting point, Tim, is the images of the card will suggest a flow and an energy.
Yeah.
So I always like it when a magician and a high priest face each other, when I'm laying them out from left to right. For me, it's very important that the Empress and the Emperor are facing each other. They're part of a.
They're part of a whole.
They're part of a whole.
That's the duality.
Yes. Yeah. And I think this is okay. We have some great chat. And so Donna Marie is here. Hello.
Pamela Bachelor blows my mind.
Yes. I think of the magician as tapping into the unconscious and bringing it to physical reality.
Yes.
So there must be no masculine path since there is no free will. Just saying. Point taken, Pamela.
Well, your free will is to find out what God wants you to do.
There you go.
I think free will is attained through assertiveness, decision making, and insight. That's what leads to free will. And then people typically characterize that as masculine or outward, I think.
Chris from Elemental Cartomancy said spiritual intersexness is that's the goal.
That's the balance.
That's the balance. Yeah. And then we have Pamela said maybe the magician and the high priest are the same, different aspects of the same thing.
Well, yeah, that's what duality means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
one's the biological
I'm
version
actually
of
wrong.
male and another female. Yeah, but they're inward focused.
Yeah.
Archetypes.
Two halves of the same coin.
Yes.
So for example, if you were doing a duality read on this first duality, the question would be something like, I'm a woman and I'm highly accomplished. I have zillions of friends. I'm well respected academically. I've lived a long life with lots of experiences, and I'm very connected to who I am and what I am. But I can't make any money, or I can't get anybody to buy my book, or my friends and my family run all over me, and that's because there's an imbalance in the first duality. They're leaning too heavily on the high priestess side, and what you need to do is rebalance yourself by being, more on the second duality pair, which is the outward flowing energy. You need more outward flowing energy. You're not asserting yourself. You're not making clear decisions, and you're being bedeviled by insight that's poor. You need to improve the insight. And it sounds obvious when you sort of lay it out on the table, but that's the whole point. It's the archetypes of human behavior, and it helps you recognize that you're imbalanced in a certain duality, in a certain section of your life, and this is the suggestion to go more in that direction.
Well, the magician goes out in public and does his little show. The high priestess stays in her tower.
Well, I was actually discussing the pair of the magician and the high priestess, which are inward flowing, versus the pair of the emperor and the empress, which is outward flowing.
Oh, I see where you go. Oh, okay.
And then there's an imbalance in those two pairs, your master volume of your inward and your outward flow. And people that are extremely feminine are usually leaning too heavily on their inward flow, and they're not putting any work energy into their outward flow. And it's difficult to be assertive. It's difficult to be a decision maker. And you're like, yes, this is what I'm doing. And it's also difficult to engage in so many life experiences that you gain real insight. You actually learn like how the real world works. It's like, oh, everybody told me to do X, Y, and Z, but the day that I decided to say to hell with that and I did D instead, and then it was a huge success, you're like, oh, well, that's a new piece of insight that I'm going to add into my my free will, my ability of insight, free will.
I think it's interesting. This first pair is inward flow, and the next pair is the outward flow. And guess what? You all know what I'm going to say. You're going to need to join us next time for the duality pair 2. This is an evil plot that I have. I'm wanting my Tuesdays to be all about Maru, Linda, Timy, and Gerald, and this whole concept, and all of the best chatters. And speaking of which, Jacqueline said, "Oh, labels, you slippery devil." And Timy, what I might encourage you to do is when you write the introduction to your book, you say, read the whole book so you understand how all of the pieces fit together, because this is different than what we're used to. And because sometimes, when I've had to learn new things, it's like you have to learn the alphabet before you can put the letters together to create words.
Mm-hmm.
And then how you put those words together, I think it's a really interesting thing. Chris from Elemental Cartomancy, my thoughts differ ever so slightly from Pamela. I see the magician as tapping into something, maybe the unconscious, and bringing it into the consciousness. Then the High Priestess develops the idea. Then the Empress brings it into physical reality.
Exactly.
She gives it birth.
Exactly. And the Empress employs assertiveness, decision-making, and insight as a biological female.
Yes.
And that's just as valid and just as powerful as the Emperor employing assertiveness, decision-making.
And then the Emperor whips it into shape and gives it a name and a purpose. I think this is so fascinating. Yeah.
It's the way our brain works.
Yes. So much as our masculinity or femininity is a mask and act. Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, spirit is androgynous.
Yeah. And that's the trap of biological sexuality. People assume that you are only this one side, but you're both sides. You should be.
How much of it is a performance?
Yeah.
We're trained to be in certain ways by our expectations.
Yeah.
Our environment forces it. Our environment and our time period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like forcing left-handed people to write with their right hand just as a cultural thing. It's stupid and it's counterintuitive. And so is all these sexual roles that are like so rigid.
Yep.
I mean, throughout history, men have worn wigs, makeup, high heels, dresses. Only now is it supposed to be a feminine thing.
Correct. Jacqueline said, Timy, you're very focused on masculine and feminine. I'm wondering if that is a generational thing. I'm noticing many of the teenagers are leaning towards androgyny.
Yeah,
I've noticed that too, and you're right. I am a product of my upbringing, of my cultural upbringing. Mm-hmm. Yes, and there's a lot of bedevilments and wrong insight that is just part of your formative years. And one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss this thing with the tarot community and Linda, who's always right in particular, is that she straightened out my thoughts on relationships. And it was the whole masculine feminine thing that was hanging me up and I couldn't see it clearly. And then she explained a nuance that I said, oh, that makes perfect sense. And then it all started clicking together. The whole inward flow and outward flow being the foundation, not masculine or feminine.
And what's beautiful about that is you are exemplifying what you're talking about in the duality pairs.
Yeah.
You are willing to hear something that is different than what you are used to.
Yeah.
And then when you get new information, you process it, you think about, you go inward with it, and then you go outward with it to see how it fits.
Into the world of manifestation, outward into the world of manifestation.
Yeah. Chris has brought up preface. Read the whole book, then you can come for me, you shady bitches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
it is an oscillation, inward and outward, and then inward and outward.
Well, like breathing, or like, flowers closing their petals for the night and then opening them up for the sun.
Or like having fun together.
Yeah.
Or doing both at the same time.
Mind blown.
I don't think I can.
Yeah. And Jack said, my kid is trans, so I've shifted my mindset on how I see things by a lot. And thank you for sharing that. I think
perhaps your child is spiritually more advanced than us, and naturally is shifting to a more of an androgynous lifestyle because they're nimble. They can go either way. They can be masculine. They can be feminine.
I actually like that. I like that a lot. And let's all do some patriarchy homework.
I recently saw a comedian. I think his name is Giancarlo. He's very like that. He was a theater kid, but he liked girls.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a theater kid.
Yeah. Linda is always right. I have to put it up here.
Oh, I am crying out loud.
Marking that.
And Linda was not the one that said matriarchy or patriarchy this time.
Gerald said it. And actually, it was Pamela who said it.
Yeah.
Not everyone is willing to have healthy discussion. This is an excellent thing. We can't grow without feeling uncomfortable at some point.
Yes.
Very true.
And that's the fool, feeling uncomfortable, taking that next step, not knowing what's in store.
Yeah. I think, what's really interesting, back in the day, when I was out of the closet, that would probably be almost 30 years ago. Oh, almost 40 years ago.
You're so old.
I am. And so, wait a minute. I gotta adjust my glasses. But
Something in your eye there, Gerald?
Yeah, something's in my eye. No, but I was having a conversation, my siblings, with me coming out of the closet as a homosexual, gay. Just in case you didn't know that, everybody. My siblings were all trying to wrap their head around it. And then what happened? My nieces and nephews were fine. They were used to it because some of their friends, their colleagues, their schoolmates had that. And so very, very different experience. I never met an emperor who could whip anything into shape. I see the emperor as a maintainer of the creation.
So do I. He's the administrator. The empress is the bringer of innovation.
Yeah.
Their power is vision.
But they're both outward flowing, in my opinion, forces, archetypes.
I am so going to be thinking about this. The inward flowing with that first pair and the outward flowing. That is fascinating. So, Jax also said, when I was dating, I miss seeing the light leave a man's eyes when he figures out I'm funnier than him. Good times.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is a great discussion. And I appreciate the dialogue too. I mean,
yeah, me too.
I think we're going to have to do another couple of shows. However, I'm not going to force my guests to promise anything beyond the 3 that they've done, but we could do like 10 or 12 shows. I don't know if Timmy's going to be tired of us or anything like that.
No, I'm writing a book on it. This is all interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and what's great about it is it makes us go, ooh, wow. I mean, that's that I like to surround myself by people who think about things and you go, ooh, wow, I've never thought about that. So,
I was watching Bobby, who's the Wild Raven Tarot guy.
Yeah.
We're doing a show, I think, together in a couple weeks with Gerald.
Yes.
And he was doing a card spread using the Hebrew alphabet, which is 22 characters. Yes. So you can take each tarot card and lay it on top of a Hebrew alphabet symbol. And he does card reads using that. And that's very similar to what I was doing with this duality interpretation, where it's a structure for analysis, or a structure for figuring out what the next right thing to do is. And I think it's all coming from the same area. These cards are so profound in their symbolism and in how they describe human behavior, human manifestation, and human circumstance. And that's why they've been so popular for so many years. And I think what I'm doing with these cards is just a slightly different thing. The card history, the card meanings aren't changing, but the interpretation of their correspondence, the fact, putting 2 together gives you a new meaning. And I think there's important things to learn from that.
There are.
You're manifesting existence in a unique way, which is the goal.
God, say that again, Maru. I'm going to bookmark that so I can make a short of it.
I think I said you're manifesting existence in a unique way, which is the goal.
Boom.
I just played my chime.
Chris has said, Oh, okay, Jack says, well, that and men are typically looked at as a whole and women are seen as their parts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a particularly toxic window dressing from, I don't know, which organized religion came up with that one.
Yeah. Chris says, I definitely see Arcanum 4 as being about order and structure. They bring order to the creativity of Arcanum 3. Didn't mean anything negative by phrase whip it into shape. I understood what you meant, Chris.
Yeah. I didn't think it was negative. I didn't perceive anything negative about it.
Yeah. And by the way, Lori is having a new shoulder put in. I hope you decided to go with the upscale.
The bionic
model.
Yeah, the bionic model.
Lift a refrigerator with one arm.
Best wishes.
Shuffle all of those cards.
Makes a cool sound. Walk, 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 walk when you throw the refrigerator.
I totally get that. I was a huge bionic man, or $6 million man, and bionic woman fan.
I wanted the little doll. I wanted the Steve Austin with you look through his head and see through his eye.
I had the game.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Yes. So
I never got Steve Austin.
Oh,
I was deprived.
Well, that's too bad.
Same.
It was considered too trivial and expensive.
Yeah, my parents didn't spend money on toys.
Got underwear and socks.
Yeah.
Underwear and socks. Yep. Yeah. Well, goodness. I would like to thank everybody for joining us. If you're listening to the playback, thank you. Leave a comment. Feel free to give us your thoughts on this whole concept. And we whipped through Duality 1 for this show. I mean,
breakneck pace.
Yes, breakneck pace. We only have 9 more dualities to do.
Yeah.
If you
then we get to talk about the fool in the world.
And we did talk about the fool in the world. So.
It's a big part of it.
Yes. So I want to encourage everybody to make sure that you are you like and subscribe because it's free. You get to see these conversations. We want you to be part of it. And so if you have friends who you think might benefit from hearing this, or it could lead you into a good conversation with them, share it. I think that's a win for everybody. And we will continue to do these shows as long as my guests are willing to do that. But we don't want to take Timy too much away from the writing of this book.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need this. This stimulates
sounding
creativity.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think this whole experience is about that duality. We all have different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
One is not better than the other. They're just different.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, now that you all know about it, that means I have to finish the book. I can't wimp out and not do it.
Well,
I am marking that for a short. I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to make it a ringtone.
We'd just all be extremely disappointed.
It's like that lame ass Timy. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Linda has a show coming up later today. It is Akashic Adventures. And then also Linda has a show with me for Blocks to Joy with Diane G. That's a follow-up to our Laugh and Learn About Joy. I've got a back and forth with Jamie and Gerald coming up here. Zane is joining us, and we're talking about random truths as we look at the tarot.
Sounds fun.
Yes. It's lots and lots of great shows coming up. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us. And we will say goodbye. Everybody, thank you very much and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
See you later.
Thanks for having us.
Take it easy.
Bye.